Good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday, we have studied regarding vital force in health, in which we have studied the functions of vital force, the character of vital force, what vital force works for the material organism, and then how our reason gifted mind utilize this living healthy instrument for the higher purpose of existence. In which yesterday we have discussed the characters regarding spiritual nature of vital force, autocracy, automatic, immaterial. Yesterday someone asked me about dynamis. So I will give you short information regarding dynamis. Again, I will discuss it in detail when we will discuss footnote of aphorism number 11. So regarding dynamis, actually from the very beginning, starting from the earliest era of, you can say, mythology, dynamis word is used for to describe some invisible power. So dynamics is actually is utilized for a power, a shakti that is not visible, but the work of that power we can assess. The work of that power we can understand with influence on something other, some other material object. Such hidden power, such invisible power, such immaterial power is called dynamis, is called dynamic. So actually here what Hahnemann meant to say regarding by saying dynamis is the nature of vital force as a power, एक शक्ति है जो लाइफ को चला रही है. That power is called dynamis. I think I am clear to you. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear.
Chalo, ठीक है. So this is about aphorism number 9 in one of the most shortest way of its explanation. Let's move to the next aphorism, aphorism number 10. This aphorism is regarding absence of vital force. 9 was presence of vital force, then what happens? It performs all the functions of life. When vital force is absent, then what will happen? This aphorism 9 is called the material organism without vital force. Here Hahnemann says the material organism without the vital force is capable of no sensation, no function, no self-preservation. ये जो तीन no बताया है, this is the reflection of life. In a living organism, how we perceive that one organism is living or one organism is dead is only by these three functions. That is functions of sensation, function, and self-preservation. These are the three qualities of a living organism that lost when the vital force is absent. So what Hahnemann says, if vital force is not present in a material organism, then that the organism is not capable of or will not show, the organism will not show any sensation, any functions or self-preservation. And that जो footnote में लिखा हुआ, if these three functions are absent in a material body, then this body will be called as dead, not a living organism. Because it derives all sensation and performs all function of life solely by means of this immaterial being. What he called this immaterial being as vital force, which animates the material organism in health and in disease. In either way, health and disease both are a part of life. Dead organism has neither health nor disease. It is the quality of living organism that it shows in a state of life, either in healthy condition or in disease condition. These both are the condition, with both are the presence, with both are the proof of being life. If he is or she is living, then only he has these two qualities, either being in a state of health or being in a state of disease. So in this aphorism, the main information that Hahnemann wants to say regarding this vital force is, when it is present, it performs all the functions in harmonious, admirable, vital operations. That aphorism number 9. When it is absent, it shows no sensation, no function, no self-preservation. And if these three no are there, then it is called the quality of a dead body, not a living organism. And so he described in this aphorism number 10 the quality of vital force when it is absent in a living organism. Another thing that here I would like to discuss here, that in this aphorism, Hahnemann has used two words. One is vital force, another is vital principle. Just see, in the first line, Hahnemann has used again vital force. Here he has not replaced vital force into vital principle. But in the third line here, you see, under bracket, when he write vital force, this under bracket vital force I have given you in the green color, he replaced this in the name of vital principle. No doubt you should know that Hahnemann has replaced this word from vital force to vital principle. But one thing I would like to clear in your mind, that in many places you will come to know, or in many other lectures you may come to know, that Hahnemann replaced this word with the influence of physics, with the influence of Newton's way of describing force, mass into acceleration, etc. It is not at all so. If you study Newton, then Newton, in his famous work, the book Principia, is written in 1678. Just note down the year. Newton has written his book Principia in 1678. You can think how much even before the birth of Hahnemann this book was published. So it is not at all that Hahnemann was not aware of this physics. So when he used here this word principle, it is not at all by the influence of this physics or a consideration of mass, because earlier I have already told you in aphorism number 9 here that this vital force is immaterial. So here the rules of physics, the physical world principles is not applying. Here it is used as a biological power. अगर इसी चीज को देखना हो तो एक बार aphorism number 12 में देखना, Hahnemann has used again vital energy. यहाँ पे देखो vital energy in 6th edition. अगर वही, if that was the true concept कि vital, Hahnemann has used this force, replaced the word force by principle for justification of physics, then why he used the word energy? Energy again is defined and calculable in physics. So this replacement he has done is not under the influence of physics. But here is the things to know, that when we use the word vital force, here the main subject is vital. Force is used as an adjective for this vital. Either it is called in the name of force, in the name of energy, in the name of principle. The main thing is vital. And if you go to for the meaning of word vital, vital word means life. So here he described regarding life, and so he used some other different adjectives, either in the form of principle, force, energy, whatever. But it is totally different from the discussion that is being discussed in aphorism, being discussed in physics. It is not at all the influence of physical world. So it is just his impressions he has given in many places, both the words simultaneously, force as well as principle, force and energy. So come back to what this description, again come back to aphorism number 10. The message is the presence of vital force is life and absence of vital force is death. And this death is confirmed by absence of sensation, absence of function and absence of self preservation. ये सेल्फ प्रिजर्वेशन की बात क्या है, देखोगे यहाँ पे कह रहा है, if someone living and he goes into sleep by any means, by any influence, even for 3, 4, 7 days, his material body is not going to decompose. But if a dead body is left for 3 to 4 days, it will start decomposing. It will start decaying. You will study in your forensic classes different stages of decompositions, how it starts, how it begins. Why that dead body started decomposition? Because when it is dead, it has no self-preservation. Whereas if a living person is lying for even 10 or 7 days, he will not start decomposing. So this is the self-preservation that lost when vital force is absent. Am I right till here?
Yes, sir.
So this is the breakup that you have to prepare in your file regarding this aphorism. What he says, this breakup is again diagrammatic explanation of the message that I have just told you, that material organism without this vital force is capable of no sensation, no function, no self-preservation. If these three no are there, then it will be called as disease, death. Okay. So after these two, presence of vital force, absence of vital force, now come to the third step, and that is called vital force in disease. And that begins in one of the very important aphorism of this section, aphorism number 11. Here first I would like to say, those who have book, just mark from here when a person falls ill. Till here we call disease. That is a homeopathic definition of disease. And you must remember this whenever you have to describe either in your theory exam or in your practical viva regarding the definition of disease. Homeopathically, you must have to mention these points, in which the important points that you have to highlight, I have highlighted here in different colors that you underline in your book. So what this aphorism says, when a person falls ill, what happens? Who is the reason behind this? What he described, it is only this spiritual, self-acting, automatic vital force. Here again, he describing the different characters of vital force. What is spiritual, self-acting, automatic vital force? Everywhere present in the organism. Every living cell of your body is having this vital force. So what happens when a person falls ill? First and foremost impact that occurs is on the vital force, and that's why it is called, that is primarily deranged. So first derangement is the derangement of vital force. That vital force must be primarily deranged if it is a case of natural disease. How vital force get deranged? It is deranged by dynamic influence. Dynamic influence upon it of a morbific agent inimical to life. So first there will be derangement of vital force. How the vital force will derange? It will derange only by dynamic influence. Only by dynamic influence. That is morbific agent inimical to life. And now a very important thing is, it is only the vital force deranged to such an abnormal state. This you must highlight in your textbook. Deranged to such an abnormal state. Vital force gets deranged by any inimical force, any dynamic influence. If what happens when this derangement is not up to the level, this is called actually what you study a threshold power. That actually differentiate, you must have studied in your aphorism number 7, that is called indisposition. What happens in indisposition? There is again derangement of vital force, but this derangement doesn't cross the threshold power of your vital force. And that's why there is slight and trivial alteration in the state of health. And those alterations need not any medication. That is the differentiating point, that the influence must cross this such an abnormal state. When it is beyond this threshold power, then there will be the beginning of disease process. If it is not crossing that limit of this threshold power of your vital force, then there will be slight feeling of being sick, but it will not be considered as a disease process, and somehow it may called be as your indisposition, or it will be remain in the state of indisposition. So first important point is primary derangement of vital force. Second important point is dynamic influence. This derangement is by dynamic influence. And third important point is this derangement must be crossing the defense level of your vital force to such an abnormal state. When it will cross this, then what happens? That can furnish the organism with its disagreeable sensation and inclined to irregular process which we call disease. When vital force gets primarily deranged by a dynamic influence to such an extent that it cross, then it progress, it compels the vital force for an irregular process of a disturbed process of a dysfunctioning process of its sensation and function, then this is called disease. And this is the definition of disease according to your homeopathic philosophy. So in this aphorism, Hahnemann described regarding the natural disease, and this natural disease must have these 4 components. That is primary derangement of vital force, this derangement by dynamic influence to such an abnormal extent, that means to cross the defense part, cross the threshold resistance part of your vital force, and then there will be a irregular process of its sensation and functions, and then it will be called as disease. So this is the one part of this aphorism. What is the next part? What he says, your vital force, as we have studied in aphorism number 9, is dynamic, is spirit-like, is immaterial. So the disturbance of vital force you will not be able to perceive by your senses. You cannot see vital force, you cannot touch vital force, you cannot smell vital force, you cannot taste vital force. So your all sense organs are incapable of knowing the disturbance of vital force. Then how you will know? the only way of knowing its disturbance, if inside us, inside a living organism, if vital force is disturbed, the only way that we can know the disturbance of vital force is this highlighted marks once. Only makes itself known by manifestation. That means what in aphorism number 9 we have studied: admirable, harmonious, vital operation. This harmony will be disturbed. And so the disturbed harmony will reflect itself, will manifest itself in the form of disturbed sensation and function. That means the disturbance of vital force will make itself known through the help of this material body in reflecting its internal disturbance by showing disturbed sensation and function. That what we have studied in aphorism number 7, that is the internally dynamically deranged vital force manifests itself outside by sign and symptoms, and the sum totality of these symptoms is indicating disease. So this immaterial, invisible, spirit-like dynamic vital force, when it gets deranged, it will represent its derangement through the material organism in the form of disturbed manifestation. And so it is called as a power that is invisible in itself and only cognizable by its effects on the organism. Its morbid derangement only makes itself known by the manifestations of disease in the form of sensation and function to those part of the organism exposed to the senses of the observer and the physician. And this manifestation of disturbed sensation and function, what we call is morbid symptom. And in no other way it can make itself known. So mind it here, Hahnemann has emphasized in a two-way. First, he says the only way that is possible to know the disturbance of vital force is its manifestation. And again he says by no other way it can manifest itself. And that's why most of the time I used to say in classes that the working phenomena of homeopathy is based on only three things. And what are those three things? I frequently used to say, very good. It is symptom, and symptom alone, and nothing else. If you are not getting it, then just see what we study in our Materia Medica is symptom. What we take care during case taking in a patient to cure him is symptom. And finally, by administration of medicine, by absence of what we say that patient is cured, it is symptom. So in Materia Medica, what we study, symptom. In patient, what we take, symptom. And for cure, what we remove is symptom. And that is the working phenomena of homeopathy. So symptom, understanding of symptom, we will study afterwards in detail also, is one of the very vital part of homeopathy. A true practice of homeopathy is based on the exact understanding and utilization of or interpretation of symptom. And that is the symptomatology part of homeopathic philosophy is again very important for a successful homeopathic practice. So in aphorism number 11, what we have studied till that vital force must be primarily deranged by dynamic influence to such an abnormal state, and then it will be called as disease. And that disease only make itself known by disturbed sensation. that is called manifestation. And this manifestation, what we called as morbid symptom. And here we will get two footnote. One footnote is just of having two words, materia peccans, और दूसरा फुटनोट इससे भी छोटा है, जस्ट 1.5 पेज का है, हल्का सा. So first footnote is in your 5th edition also, but the second footnote comes in the 6th edition. And this smallest, or you can say the largest footnote, we will study in the next class. Just before going to that, we finish at least this aphorism. So what is this aphorism? Vital force in disease. How vital force gets sick? It is by the influence of morbific agent inimical to life. That is primarily derangement of vital force to such an abnormal state, and then this defined disease. So this is regarding the vital force, the role of vital force in disease. I think the time is not enough to describe the detailed footnote. I will discuss in next class, but I will discuss you this short footnote here that is called materia peccans. The materia peccans, you must note it carefully because many times it comes in your theory exam in the form of short notes, as well as you may be asked in your viva. So what is materia peccans? This materia peccans, if we go for the word meaning of materia peccans, it simply says material cause. Materia peccans is nothing but material cause. Why Honeyman is saying here material cause? Just see where he is saying material cause, when he is saying dynamic influence. That means this dynamic influence and this materia peccans is just two opposite pole of the medical philosophy. What the philosophy of disease and its treatment was during Hahnemann's time was based on this concept of materia peccans. And against this philosophy, Hahnemann has revolted with proof is the concept of dynamic influence. So our homeopathy, as we have studied, discussed in the first class, that this is one of the reason of great differentiation of homeopathy from rest all the other system of medicine is regarding this concept that is called dynamic influence. So this materia peccans is the system, is the concept of health and disease during Hahnemann's time. Even till now in other pathy it persists. You must have studied during Hahnemann's study of Hahnemann's life history, or if you have not studied, you can study it, or even you will find it in introduction part of Organon of Medicine, the different way of treatment during Hahnemann's time. Yeah. What are the ways? That is called venesection, cauterization, leaching. What are these methods? Why they are performing this venesection? Why they are just drawing out the blood? Because of the concept of this materia peccans. Because they have a concept of disease that is something material is inside the body, and that material cause is the disturbance of the whole illness. And so by their way of treatment, they tries to pull out, they try to drag out, they tries to just put it out from the inside the body to heal the person. And so they perform venesections to remove as the so-called bad blood. So they remove, they use leaching, they use cauterization. These all are the method of treatment because of the concept of materia peccans. So in short, materia peccans is nothing but a materialistic concept of health and disease. Although word meaning is just material cause, but it is not limited here. it is describing the whole concept of medical philosophy of that time. That philosophy is called materialistic philosophy. That materialistic philosophy is what? Materialistic concept of disease, and so the treatment is again similar way to remove that materialistic cause from the body, and so they use the concept of materia peccans. This you will study, or you can study the methods of treatment that was prevalent during Hahnemann's time, and that you can study in Hahnemann's life in different books, even somewhere given in your introduction part. In your introduction, Hahnemann has given an example of Brosius, that he says that Brosius has flooded, has destroyed more blood than the World War, or even the War of Napoleon, in the form of treatment. And many cases you will also study during study of Hahnemann's life history. So this is regarding materia peccans. And aphorism number 10 and 11, absence of vital force and vital force in sickness. In next class, that means day after tomorrow, because tomorrow I have some another webinar seminar. So I will take next class day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow, if you have book, you must study these footnotes, long footnotes given in the 6th edition of your aphorism number 11. And here again, I will describe you as per the Hahnemann, how he has described this dynamic influence, as well as he also here described the dynamic nature of infection. So this concept of dynamic, the concept of dynamism, or the concept of dynamic infection, in details we will discuss in our next class. Anyone having any doubt in this part? Hello.
No, sir. सर एक बार ब्रेकअप समझा दिए aphorism 11 का.
11 का ब्रेकअप ये है, देखो, vital force in disease. That means vital force is normally functioning. If it is healthy, then it will be influenced by this morbific dynamic agent. Then this morbific dynamic agent will do what? It will derange the vital force first. That is called primary derangement. Then this derangement will be up to the extent, that means to cross the threshold of this resistance of vital force. And when it will cross this threshold, then there will be irregular or disagreeable sensation and function, what we call disease.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So, stay healthy. Thank you very much. Till we meet again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.